everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I have a very special guest with me today. This is Jeff Reitzel. Jeff and I are friends and we've done work together. He's got me some great mortgages and he's an active real estate and mortgage broker, ranks in the top 1% in Canada for the past 20 years. He does not like to toot his own horn, so I have to do that for him. His purpose in life is to help and mentor others in all aspects of life and business. And he's done this in so many ways that you would never be able to guess. One of those things is he's been on many humanitarian aid trips to Africa. He works closely with cured lepers and orphans and was voted top 40 under 40 in Kitchener-Waterloo. Are you still under 40? Don't answer that question.
I'm not.
I was going to say, you look good for under 40. Awarded the Pierre Fournier and 5 Diamond Awards from Mortgage Alliance. And the only person in 20 years to be awarded both. Wow. So he's the real deal. And also a WOW Mentor Award for the Waterloo region. So he was recently, this is very important to me, recently named the Canadian Ambassador to Ghana, Africa for Possibilities International. So we're going to talk about all of that stuff today. I do want to talk a little bit about real estate and mortgages, not really mortgages, but Keller Williams primarily, and the business model and why you're working with Keller Williams. And then I would like to talk about your humanitarian work in Ghana, of course. So sure. I guess it's an interesting time in the market right now with mortgages and real estate. And I'm curious because I know that Keller Williams stands out amongst all of the real estate companies as a leader in, I think, a culture change, because a lot of, as we all know, real estate, I think, is very similar to the theater world and music. It's very cutthroat. It's very, you work for yourself, and that's kind of the primary goal. So it's more difficult to create a community atmosphere with real estate agents. So Keller Williams has a different approach, and I'm wondering how Keller Williams has created this different culture, how they've created fun. I mean, I even get the emails saying, we're having a party on Saturday. Tell me a little bit about that and why.
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there when you said fun. And when you say culture, it's that Keller Williams actually does have a culture where most companies out there don't. Mm-hmm. So if you interviewed 20 agents that are with Keller Williams and you said, why are you with Keller Williams? I would say 90% of them are going to say because of the culture. Mm-hmm. So what does that mean to just say because of the culture? Right. Well, you said it's a cutthroat business, real estate. And I would agree with that for the most part that it is. I haven't experienced that in my 15 years now at Keller Williams. It's the exact opposite. So Rebecca, you're brand new in the business today. And you go, well, now what do I do? Well, you're going to have a couple hundred agents, depending on the office you're in. There's Keller Williams offices that have 1,000 agents, but you're going to have that whole group rally behind Rebecca, wanting Rebecca to succeed. So, for example, if a new agent would come to me and say, hey, how do I deal with a buyer? I'm going to meet a buyer tomorrow. I would say, well, here's my buyer presentation. Here's what I do with a buyer. Let's insert your picture instead of my picture, and I'll go over it with you. And now you have a buyer presentation to deal with your buyer. Because we understand, I'm talking about my family and then Keller Williams in general, that we aren't competition. See, I view fellow realtors as coworkers, not as competition. So if you look at them that way, well, you would do anything you could to help a coworker, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Of course, you're all working towards the same goal. See, I can't get into Rebecca's circle if Rebecca's a realtor. Right. I can't pierce that. And why would I want to? Rebecca's people are going to deal with Rebecca. So why wouldn't I want to arm Rebecca with all the best tools possible?
Yeah. And now I think really what you're talking about is something even a little bit deeper. It's a mindset of abundance rather than scarcity.
No question. Yeah.
The scarcity mindset in the world, in business, I mean, in this business or any business would be, I can't give away any of my secrets. I can't help anyone because that's going to take work away from me. But the abundance mindset, which is what you're talking about, that I think tries to instill in people is that, you know what, there's enough to go around. And if you have that mentality, more will come to you.
Yeah. And there's no question there is enough to go around.
Yeah.
How many transactions you need a month or a year to be successful? There's lots of transactions available out there.
Right.
And, you know, I don't believe at my core that there's this much money in the world. And then if I have a piece of it, well, then there's none for Rebecca.
Yeah.
I think everything out there is completely limitless, and money doesn't exist. This is going to sound weird. And you can just create it out of thin air. So I'll tell you a funny story here. I said that to my boys. We were on a cruise 5 years ago, maybe. So my boys would have been 11 and 8, something like that. Yeah. And Josh says, well, then why do you need to go to work if you can just create money? I said, my boys, yeah, they're really smart. They're mad at my wife and I right now because we keep spending their inheritance. It's just so funny. Every time we buy something. So I said, son, you have a plate sitting in front of you. And he said, yeah. I said, what's it worth? He goes, I don't know. I said, maybe $1 that white plate is worth. But what if Barack Obama was sitting beside us and we turned the plate over and he signed it? What's the plate worth now? And he looked at me with a confused look on his face and he said, more? Like he didn't really know. And I said, yeah, it should be worth less because now you can't use it. So it's lost its function. But yeah, it's probably worth more. And I don't know what his signature is worth. It's $100, it's $400, it's whatever. Yeah. So the plate went from $1 to $400. Where did the money come from?
Yeah.
And he went, oh, thin air. I said, exactly.
Yeah.
If you have that mindset that there is abundance out there and you can just create it, it's a totally different way of looking at things. Right. You know, we joined forces with Keller Williams in 2005. And the reason we did is we had Jim Reitzel Realty prior to that. And I remember my dad coming back from a conference and he said, boys, when I say boys, I'm talking about his boys. Yeah. We've been licensed in real estate now for 5 to 8 years. And he said, there's a big red wave coming. And this is the first company that I've seen that closely aligns with our family values. Because he had been approached by every franchise out there. And he just went, and all of them are wonderful. So I would never make a negative statement about another real estate franchise. They're actually all wonderful and they all have their place, but they just didn't align with who we were. Right. And he said, you know, this company's coming. And at that time in 2005, they had 16,000 agents and were probably like the 10th biggest company in North America. Right. Now they're the biggest real estate company in the world with zero advertising. So that's their budget every year is zero. It's totally mindset. There's no question. It's mindset.
And you would probably, I know you would probably agree because I know you well enough, but that this mindset has been key to you being in that top 1%.
Yeah.
You know, it's mindset, it's belief in yourself. It's knowing that money is energy is limitless. It's all these it's a belief system really that creates the success and creates the money. Right?
It is. And, you know, you mentioned, you know, top 1%, blah, blah, blah. None of that stuff means anything to me. You know, I know that's why you said you have to toot my horn because I won't do it. You can scour the internet. You will never find anything about Jeff Reitzel that says he's number one in anything ever because I don't believe it matters and it's not important to me. But because if I'm dealing with Rebecca's important. That's about it in that moment. Speaking about mindset, when COVID hit at the beginning of March, my family, we were planning on going to Las Vegas, and it was just as things were hitting. Like we had 1 case here in the Waterloo region, Florida had 2, like in all of Florida. Like it was just at the start, and I thought, if this gets bad, I don't want to be in a hotel room in Las Vegas for a week. Like that's kind of boring. So we decided to get in the car. I can't imagine. And that's what wound up happening, right? Everything in Vegas shut down and we would have been in our hotel room. So we decided to get in the car and drive down to a place beside my parents in Florida and rented a house for the week, went out once for groceries and just stayed there. But I got thinking on that first, as we crossed the border in Detroit, and I thought, wow, if this gets really bad and real estate sales, well, they're probably going to drop. There's no question. Well, it's not that I can't. I don't want my business to drop. I want my business to actually stay where it is or thrive or grow through this.
Right.
So guess what I did when we stopped, wherever we stopped that first night? We got to the hotel at 11. Well, I stayed up till approximately 4 a.m. going through my database, lead generating, and then did that every single night in Florida for 10 days. Now, I didn't take away any of my family time during the day. I took away my sleep time.
Yeah, but sometimes it takes work, right, to maintain and keep going with your business. You have to put in the time and the energy.
Yeah, it's not just luck at all.
No.
But we got the results yesterday from Mortgage Alliance Corporate on the gross commissions closed for or paid in July. Sorry, no, it would have been June.
Okay.
Just let me think. It's either June or, so I think to the end of June.
Yeah.
And I was #1 in the country for commissions paid in June out of several thousand agents.
Okay.
And
go ahead. I have a question.
I am rarely #1 in the country. Like that's maybe happened once before. But that was mindset. Because what happened? Well, real estate sales did drop 65%.
Yeah.
That's what happened in March and April that would have led to June commissions. Yet my income and business went up. And it was just mindset.
Just mindset. And was it fun?
No.
Is it fun now?
Yeah. Well, hey, it just the part that wasn't fun was maybe those few nights. Like it wasn't like I was working 16 hours a day, but I made a decision to not let the market or the environment affect my business. And I can give you previous examples in other downturns and stuff. But it's mindset. It's the abundance out there. I know there's going to be 5,000 and work. Yeah, no question. You can't expect the results from the work you didn't do. I always, as people say, well, I didn't have really good results. Well, you probably didn't do really good work.
Right. Or you can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results.
True. Yeah.
Right. The same thing is going to happen. So can I bring you back to Keller Williams just for a minute? And
yes.
Okay. So that maybe wasn't the most fun, but it's probably fun now because you're sitting in a position where you don't feel threatened by the current climate in the world.
Not at all.
It's fun to feel that security, would you say? Or fun? I mean, it's security, right? It's knowing you worked hard, knowing there was a payoff, there were outcomes to the work you put in.
Yes. Most importantly in that, because my mindset's always been money is good for the good it can do. And we'll probably talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
So it's good to be able to have money from the last few months to be able to support some of the causes I wanted to support.
Yes.
And I felt really good that I was the person helping some of these people over the last few months.
Right. So that's where you and I are the same. So the sleepless nights may not always be fun, but what we can do with the outcomes or the energy, money, that's the fun part, right? And so it kind of, one feeds the other. So tell me then, what in your life then is fun about this giving? What are the things that you're going to be able to do that you wouldn't have been able to do otherwise?
Well, let me give you just a recent example that happened the other day. So there was a 13-year-old in our community that passed away, and I'm not going to get into the details of it because it's a pretty sad story. Well, any 13-year-old dying for any reason is a sad story.
Yeah.
And so I went online and made a donation. And I don't know the family. I've never met the family. It was a GoFundMe campaign, and I made a donation on the website. And then my wife gets a message from the girl that passed away. Her best friend is my wife's best friend from high school, her daughter. Wow. And the daughter, that 13-year-old went to the mother and said, look at this person that doesn't even know the family made the biggest donation of the campaign. That was really nice that some man did that. And then of course that mother looked at it and went, I knew who those people are, and I go,
that's fun to give and support people when they need it the most.
Yeah, totally. And especially people you don't know like that. I love supporting people I know too. And I have some really cool causes, but when you can support people you don't know too, it's totally awesome. And money's not going to make their lives any better. It's not in that situation. Money's not going to solve things. But think if you had a child that passed away, how do you get up the next day and go to work? Well, I've been involved with a lot of clients that have lost children, and some of them have no choice. They have to get up the next day and go to work. Yeah. They have to. So to take some of that pressure off.
And that takes it off. Yeah. So let's take that into the work you do. I want to talk about the work you do in Africa.
Yeah.
the work you do in Africa. So first of all, like, I don't think you ever like dreamed that you were going to be a mortgage broker. I don't think that was like the plan when you were like, so what did you want to do when you were 10? Can you answer that in a few sentences?
When I was actually 10, 12, 13, 14,
Yeah.
my only goal was to retire very young and do whatever I wanted to do. I remember my mindset back then. It was like when I was really young.
Like, I think of retirement, you're 10?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I thought
Totally.
you want to be an actor or something. Famous actor.
No, I didn't. Well, hey, I wanted to be a basketball player. There's no question. If I could have chose something, I would have played in the NBA. You know.
There you go. You play basketball still?
Yes, I play a game with my son almost every day.
Awesome.
No, I love it. I love the sport just as much as I ever did.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, look,
Yeah.
it seems then that the mindset as a young child, then, like you projected that into the universe, and it's happening. It's pretty much there. So, however that came about, you didn't really have a set plan. It just happened.
No, but I then did start planning, at 12, 13, 14, I really did start planning for my future and financial planning. And like, there's no question I was,
Okay.
yeah,
Quite young.
yeah, quite young. I was really weird that way. I would skip school to go to the library to read books on finance. It was, yeah.
That's weird. We're not talking about that.
Yeah.
Reading books on finance is going to bore my audience. So then when did you go to Ghana? When was this turning point where, you were introduced to Africa and the needs there, where kind of your world expanded, and how did that change your life?
Yeah, it was the spring of 2013, actually maybe winter 2012 to spring of 2013. I remember waking up one day in the middle of the night. So the middle of the night for me is like 2 a.m. because I get up at 4:30. I'm not recommending that. It's just my clock. So I remember waking up and the question that just popped into my mind was why? Like, why do I eat the way I eat? Why do I believe in this religion? Why? It was just why? My wife calls it a midlife crisis, but I was only a third of the way through my life, so it wasn't a midlife crisis.
No.
But that morning around, what's that?
I said that's still coming.
Yes. Uh-oh.
Midlife for you will be like 55.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, sorry.
But to me, life isn't measured by the number of years you live. It's what you do with the years that you have. So if I passed away today, I've lived a full life. I don't want to pass away today, but if I did, I have.
I think exactly.
So I'm online and I'm donating to Possibilities International. It's a charity that I'd supported. I pay for a well in Africa or buy a family a goat, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I saw Sam. Funny when I'm in Africa and I go, whose goat is that? Like, there's just a goat walking the street, and someone will say to me, "Take it, you'll find out."
That's so true.
It's so true.
If you steal it,
you'll find out because nothing's tied up there. It's so funny. So I saw Sam posted a trip. Sam Welton, he's the executive director of Possibilities International. I saw he posted a trip for Ghana, Africa. I went, wow, elephants, giraffes, like zebras. I'm in. The only thing I've ever seen there is cockroaches, but that was kind of where my mind was at the time, was that I get to see these exotic animals. Yeah. And I thought it would be a neat experience. And boy, was it. It was definitely life-changing. I remember the first 4 or 5 nights I was there, I didn't sleep for 1 minute. So I was awake for 5 days, and I've never done that in my life.
Cockroaches or something else kept you awake?
No, not the I don't mind cockroaches. I just shoot them away. My wife would be a different story. Everywhere we went was a different level of poverty. Mm-hmm. And it really affected me you see the stuff on TV, but when you're there and you see it in person, it's so different. And so that affected me. But I think what affected me even more was how genuinely happy these people and communities were. I went, this is so strange. Like,
we don't see that on TV.
No, we don't.
Flies on their faces, these poor kids that are sad, but they don't ever show the degree of happiness.
And there is a huge degree of happiness. Now, there's lots of stuff that isn't happy and isn't good. There's no question. Right. And there's lots of help that they do need. But I would go up to a child in an orphanage and I'd say, "Hey, Obed, how you doing?" And he'd say, "I'm blessed and highly favored." His parents left him in a gutter 3 weeks ago. Like, he's blessed and highly favored, and you're going, whoa, like, I need some sort of adjustment in my life.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I had always heard, and I've studied happiness now a lot, but
Mhm.
and I talk about it. Happiness is happiness and money is money.
Yeah.
They're not really related. They're related to a degree. Your basic needs are met and you have shelter and you don't have to worry about stuff.
Yeah.
Well, beyond that, beyond 60,000 or so in family income in Canada, there's no more happiness found.
No.
So I thought, well, happiness must be a choice then. It simply must be.
Yep.
Mindset. They're not worrying about RSPs or car payments or driving 3 hours on the 401 to work every day. Their communities, not all communities are like this, but they all have the same mud hut and straw roof, and
Yeah.
they're fed and they're genuinely happy. Their worry today is, let's go find some food.
Yep.
And they find some food and they play with sticks and they have a sense of community, and it's just,
And they're happy.
They're happy.
Yeah, because our society has been built on more and more and more and more, and we're driven as consumers to want more and more and more, but also I would say a little brainwashed into thinking we need more and more and more to get the happiness, which is so
Yes.
not true.
No, and that leads into what I did when I came back from my first trip. And I've been there over 20 times now, so I'm very involved there and love it. If I didn't have a wife and kids that I loved in Canada, you might never see me again.
Right. Yep. I've had that feeling before.
Yeah, and the reason you might never see me again is
kids, but I've had that feeling before.
See, I wake up every day and have for over 25 years and go, whose day can I make better today? Who can I help today? Well, there you don't need to look. It's every second of every day you can have an impact on somebody. Yeah. Holding a kid's hand from whatever. So I come back from that first trip and I said, well, I'm going to test the theory that happiness is happiness and less is more. So I started a thing called 500 days, and I actually did a blog every day for the next 500 days on this journey. When I do blogs, I don't make them public. I do them that my wife can look at, and that's about it. So I wanted to get rid of 99% of everything that I owned.
Yeah.
In that 500 days. Well, I did it in the first month or month and a half. I got rid of 99% of everything that I own. I was down to a laptop, my wedding ring, an iPhone, one pair of jeans, a couple t-shirts, one pair of dress shoes, and one pair of running shoes. That was all my possessions, besides a box of like trinkets that my kids had made me over the years. Yeah. I got rid of everything else.
And I had a large stuff too.
What's that? Nope. I didn't touch it.
Didn't touch
any of her stuff. I let her
keep the marriage.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Totally.
That's good. Okay.
So I had a large Detroit Red Wings memorabilia collection and probably one of the biggest Coke bottle collections in Canada. Coke bottles. I thought I said cans. I had over 3,000 different Coke bottles. So it was very daunting to me to go, well, how do I get rid of this stuff?
Yeah.
Because I bought these bottles or acquired them one at a time.
Right. Wow.
So I decided to just phone up a few charities and said, come get it. And then you guys auction it off and keep the money. It was the only way that I could get rid of stuff very quickly.
Yeah.
And if there was something like from my grandfather that I thought I might want to look at down the road, I would snap a picture of it. I got rid of any award I'd ever received, anything, and I just snapped pictures. There was a car that I had purchased for my father-in-law that he then left to me when he passed away. I took a picture of that and sold it. And there wasn't anything now that I look back and go, man, I wish I wouldn't have sold that. Because it's just stuff. Did you see this pen here, Rebecca? We can look at this pen and go, well, this was my great-grandfather's pen. Or I can take away the meaning and go, it's a stupid pen.
It's just a pen.
Just get rid of it. It's just a pen. So I found that less was more, and it allowed me to focus on things that were truly important in life. So I got rid of friends. I got rid of boards of directors that I was on. It just, more is not always better. Yet we keep, as you said, we're taught that you get more, more money, more houses, more things, more obligations, more hours at work. Yeah. More is not always better.
No, that's a great lesson. Now, I would say to the audience, like, not everyone can do that, but if we could adopt that mentality without giving everything away, what would be one strategy you would say people could start with today if they wanted to do that?
Like start getting rid of stuff?
No, to start, I think, because a lot of people will say, oh, that's great because he gave everything away. But you can have that mentality without having to go to the extreme that you did after you came back from Africa. There is a way to adopt that mentality. I'm just saying, what would be one thing people could do today to start moving towards a mentality like that?
Well, maybe don't look at stuff that you already have or obligations that you already have. Look to the future, and next time an opportunity presents itself and somebody says, "Hey, can you be on this board of directors?" or "Hey, do you want this item?" Maybe don't bring new stuff into your life.
Right.
Just work on perfecting what you have in your life right now,
Okay.
rather
Great.
than acquiring more.
Yeah, that's great. I wanted to ask you about the work in Africa and whether we're going to go together at some point.
We've been dancing around that for years and it's just never worked out.
No, it'll work out one day. It'll work out one day. Because, yeah, well, I have to go from Uganda and hop over to Ghana. That's basically what needs to happen so that I can go and do my work and then come over and see what you're up to over there too.
Well, and then I might hop over to Uganda and see what you're doing.
You can hop over to Uganda and see. And actually, I'll be branching out, I hope, into Tanzania and Ethiopia to do some research on the FGM and child marriages. So actually interview some people like we're doing today. So I'm really excited about that as soon as I can fly anywhere. I know you are probably anxious to get on the flight.
Oh my goodness, yes, I'm dying.
Go there, I know.
It was neat when COVID hit. Rhoda, who runs the orphanage there that we're involved with, I reached out to her and said, "What do you need?"
Yeah.
It's nice to be able to do that. Just what do you need? Yeah. And she said, "Well, we're going to be on like a 4-week lockdown, I think it is. Yeah. So you got 50 kids in a regular house that we would have here, and you can't leave the compound for 4 weeks. Like, can you imagine?" So I had a semi, not a full transport, a semi transport show up with a month's worth of food, just
so that everything was taken care of.
So that everything was taken care of, and they didn't have to risk themselves going out. I don't know if you saw some of the video in some of these countries. People would leave their tin sheds to try to go get food and would get beaten with sticks by the police. Like,
well, that's something I actually was going to ask you this. Are you a little more concerned about going back because the crime rates are going to be up because of the poverty, the more extreme poverty, or how do you view that? How do you deal with that?
So I'm going to have to look at that for sure. It also, African countries are very different. So when I decided to start going to Ghana, when I decided to go for the first time, I did do a little bit of research, and it is a very safe country. Their population is about the same as Canada, yet their crime rate is about the third of the size of Canada.
Wow.
So yeah, if I'm on the countryside, if I'm going from Accra, the capital city, to Ho, which is where the leprosarium is, it's spelled H-O. We did a fun Christmas thing there one year, ho, ho, ho. It's so cool. So if I'm traveling that countryside, it's about maybe a 4-hour drive, depending on the roads and what bridges are out.
Yeah.
We'll have a pickup truck behind us with, men with large muscles carrying machine guns. And I go, yeah, they're not looking for us. Like, they're going to pull us over and search our stuff. Yeah. And then they're going to want one of the Cokes in our cooler. Yeah. Like, people go, well, that's, or they want 5 CDs to be able to feed their family, which might be $1 or $2 Canadian.
Yeah.
So I don't look at that as corrupt. I just look at that as, they're just people trying to feed their family. But if you don't have cocaine or drugs or stuff you shouldn't have, you really don't have anything to worry about. It's not that anything can't happen, but I would feel safer walking the streets of Ghana at night than I would walking the streets of Toronto at night.
Enough said. Once you've been there, you have a much better education on what it's like.
Yep.
For sure.
True.
Okay, we're going to do my little fast round questions. So you get 2 minutes. I'm going to throw some questions at you. Just answer them as quick as you can. We'll get through as many as possible. And I may spontaneously ask anything.
Uh-oh.
Just do the best you can.
I know how to press end meeting.
Let me start my timer here. All right. 2 minutes, fast round for Jeff Reitzel. Here we go. All right. Who was your favorite teacher and why?
Probably my father. So I know he didn't teach me in school, but he probably taught me the most about life and business. And he actually was a teacher. He taught for 20 years.
There you go. What's the best meal you've ever eaten?
I would say one the other day that my wife cooked. She cooked Indian for the first time. Ooh. She hates Indian food. So I would say that because it was her that did it first of all. And it was my favorite food.
Oh, that's sweet. What kind of Indian was it?
I actually forget. I forget what the two dishes were. One was a soup, and the other was a rice dish with chickpeas.
It's
But it
all
was good.
chana masala. That sounds like chana
Yeah,
masala.
probably. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What song gets you on the dance floor?
Uh, probably anything by Bon Jovi that my wife pulls me on the dance floor for.
Oh, okay. So you don't willingly go?
Absolutely not.
No. Okay. When was the last time you had a massive, uncontrollable belly laugh?
I can't remember.
What?
No, I can't. Like uncontrollable.
Oh, we'll have to hang out more.
I'm trying to think uncontrollable. Yeah, pass.
Pass. Come on. Probably in Florida with your kids at some point.
Oh, we laugh all the time. My kids think I'm the biggest dork in the world. So, we have laughing fits every day. So, yeah.
That's great. And what do you want to be remembered for?
I want to be remembered for being a great husband and father. That's above all else. That's what I'd want to be remembered for.
Beautiful. All right. We are out of time for that. I do want to thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, it's always a pleasure talking to you.
Agreed. I do want to just direct people where they can find you, because I know you have a book. We didn't discuss it very much, but just tell us briefly a little bit about your book, where people could find it, and where people could find a little bit more out about the organization that you support in Ghana, in case they're curious about that as well.
Sure. So the book, the reason I never talked about it for many years is I wrote it for my kids. It's kind of I wanted them to be able to read it someday. I wrote it from the mindset of a 14-year-old. The book is called The Millionaire Father. And if you wanted to thank me in any way, if you ever learned anything from me, you could go onto iTunes and purchase that book. It's on audio now. And 100% of the sale price goes to Possibilities International, minus whatever Apple takes. So I don't get anything for it whatsoever.
Right.
That's probably the best way that they could do that. They could visit jeffreitzel.com to get connected with me if they wanted. And Possibilities International's website is iam1ru.com. Or just Google Possibilities International.
Possibilities International.
Yeah.
And they can also follow you on Instagram, where they'll see you with your cool sunglasses and your little video posts.
They're at the bottom of the lake right now.
Darn it, I love the sunglasses. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jeff, for being on the show today. It was a pleasure.
Yep. Nice talking to you, Rebecca.